Admit it, you all hate me. Just admit it. Today, at the request of a whole lot of you jackasses, I decided to play Hunters. And I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. You all told me exactly what I was getting myself into. So whatever. You know what? We all knew what this was gonna be. It was exactly what we thought it would be. And it has 30,000 fucking players right now. Which I have to be careful saying that. I have to be really careful. Because the last time I complained about a game having around 30,000 players was Fish. And look how well that ended up for me. Yeah, aged like goddamn milk. So this better not do the same. It had better not. Hunters, in its defense, while being an RNG game without a shadow of a doubt, does actually have a game proponent to its RNG game. This isn't Souls RNG where you boot it up and then rolling is the whole game. There is actual gameplay here. Now, granted, that actual gameplay is just absolutely horrifically bad. It's awful, but it exists, so, you know, that's something, I guess. Anyways, I played Hunters for roughly 40 minutes, and in those 40 minutes, I had zero fun. Literally zero. So let's talk about why that is. Number one, it's an RNG game, so we're failing right from the start. The premise of this game is you Souls RNG roll for equipment, and then you equip whatever equipment you get, you go into dungeons, you fight enemies, and obviously, the better equipment you have, the easier it will become. Now, having progression linked almost entirely to RNG, you're probably already thinking, God, who the hell thought that was a good idea? And I wish you were on the development team behind this because you would have saved me a whole lot of time. But really, the thing that's most fantastic about the game is that the RNG aspect of the game and what you actually get in the game is nothing but a facade trying to fool you into thinking that there's more to the actual game part of this game than there actually is. Why is that? Well, let me lay it out for you. When you go into the RNG rolling system, you can see all of the different things you can roll, generally speaking, scroll past the screen. In terms of weapons at the beginning, you're more than likely going to roll a common dagger, a common sword, and a common staff. Alright, so we've got 3 weapons that you can mess with right off the bat. Now, generally speaking, all 3 of these weapons are simply melee weapons that function borderline identical, but whatever. At least there are 3 of them. I'm sure variety will improve, and no, it won't. Why am I even saying that? No, it will not. So you see these 3 weapons that I talked about that you get right at the start of the game? Those are the only 3 weapons in the entire game. And if I'm wrong, I don't give a rat's ass, because I know in my heart that I'm not, and I would be absolutely astonished if I ended up being wrong. Because when I got lucky enough to roll another dagger that was 1 in 100, what was the difference between this dagger and the common dagger? If you guessed absolutely nothing, then first of all, hats off to you, man. Good job. And second of all, of course that's what it is. Yeah, it looks different and it does more damage, and that's it. And like I said, I would bet real good money that the 1 in 1 million dagger does the exact same shit that the normal dagger that's 1 in 10 does. It just does more damage, which means you can pass stat checks. Oh, good. Fantastic. So, okay, whatever, right? That's the RNG factor. I don't have a whole lot to say about it because it's literally the most cookie-cutter RNG system in the history of ever. So let's talk about the actual game itself, right? I mentioned that you would be going into dungeons and fighting enemies, right? So that surely has some saving grace. And to be 100% as fair as I can be, this alone makes the game better than Souls RNG. Yeah, you did it. Yes, you passed the lowest possible bar. Good job, guys. You just failed right afterwards because, as I said earlier, the gameplay here really bad. This game does have mechanics. The general mechanics that a lot of the time you would expect in these sort of action RPG Roblox games. You can sprint, block, parry attacks, and dash in order to avoid attacks. It's generic, sure, but it's also tried and true, and I'm not gonna rag on the game for using things that work. The problem is, well, everything else. First, let's talk movement speed and why this game feels awful to play. Some just psychopath decided it would be really, really fun to make you move at a snail's pace in this game, which I guess is a trend recently after I played that really shitty hunting game that also made you move at a snail's pace. But in case it wasn't clear by now, moving slow as ass, really not fun. And let me let you in on a secret. Moving slow as ass while you move even slower when you try to attack, while enemies are coming at you and they can shoot projectiles on top of being able to walk backwards at the same speed that you walk forwards, is really shitty. The entire time you're playing this game, it's going to feel like you're moving through molasses, and as I'm sure you can probably guess, that is not fun at all. Second of all, let's talk about these dungeons, or correction, this dungeon. There are 3 of them in the game. I played 1, and no, I will not be getting to the 2nd or 3rd because I can't be bothered to have this game waste any more of my time. The first dungeon in the game is a big old circle. And that's it. It's a big old circle, and enemies spawn in the circle, and you hit them, and they all die in one hit. Every single one of them dies in one hit, and they spawn in a circle. So you know what you do? You know what you do? You run in a circle until they all clump up, and then you run in and you press the mouse button to attack once, and they all die. And then you win. And then the next wave starts. And then you run in circles, and then you go in and you press the mouse button once, and they all die. And then you do it again. And then you do it again, and then again and again and again and again and again, and then there's a boss! Oh my god, there's a boss! And the boss actually has attacks, and it can stun you, and you need to actually wait for an opportunity to attack, and it dies instantly, and it dies in like 3 or 4 hits at the very start of the game. Why does it die in 3 or 4 hits? And to make it even worse, I don't even think you can lose. Honestly, I couldn't tell if you could lose. I died a couple times at the beginning. I just charged into enemies. There's basically no health regen, so all of the damage you take is basically permanent. And I died. I don't see a life counter, so I guess you just throw your head against the wall over and over and over again, and everything's level locked anyway, so it's not like you're gonna get to a point where this really matters. You can die as many times as you want. Who cares? Like, you had one chance to make it so that way people actually had to interact with the mechanics of the game instead of just running in circles, and then you fucked it up by giving this guy the most pitiful health bar in the history of health bars. Like, listen, I get it. I've said in plenty of videos that the game shouldn't be too hard at the start, but what I've also said is that it shouldn't be too easy. And so if the very beginning of your game, which is, I don't know what I expected, it's a fucking RNG game, but if at the very beginning of your game you have a boss that dies in 7 hits total, and you have unlimited lives, then what's the point? There's no challenge, there's barely a game. And then the arena, I mean, this is where I would probably tear apart the AI, you know, but I can't tear apart the AI because the developers knew better. They knew better. They put big old fuck off invisible walls around the entire arena so that way you can't get behind anything. They stupid proofed this. They were like, we know our AIs will walk into walls, and so we're gonna make it so you can't go behind any walls. Absolutely not, because that would break our AI. And credit where credit's due. You know what? I've said it a bunch of times. I've said, if your AI is gonna suck, at least design the environments around the shitty AI. And they did it. So that's not a knock. Good job, people behind this. If you're making a game and your AI sucks, take notes. Make the map design as boring as possible. Does it make the game shittier because now your map design is boring? Yeah, but you probably should have thought of that before you made the shitty AI. Fuck, it turned into a negative anyway. Damn it. And then there's the quests. I mean, what the hell do you expect? There's a little quest NPC. You go, you talk to him, and he tells you, all right, I need you to roll a couple times. I need you to get to a certain level, and I need you to go beat the dungeon on normal mode. All right, sounds good. Roll a couple times, go beat the dungeon, get to the level requirement, go back to the quest guy. And now he wants me to roll a couple more times and beat the dungeon on hard mode and get to a certain level requirement. Oh no. Don't tell me. I know what's gonna happen. Let me take a wild guess. You know what? Screw it. I'm not even going to let you take a wild guess. Here is the direct footage of me in the game when it happened, when I got to level 15. You already know. You don't need this, but you're gonna see it anyway. All right, buddy, I made it to level 15. You wouldn't possibly ask me to roll another X amount of times and then ask me to go beat that same level that's exactly the same on the harder difficulty and get to level 20, that wouldn't be what you're gonna ask me to do, would it? Wow, roll 15 times, complete the dungeon and nightmare, and get to level 20. Never has Eclipse Epitaph been more real than right now. What a fucking joke. So yeah, I mean, if you would like to go spend $50 on gems, so that way you could roll for a shitty piece of equipment that does the exact same thing as the level 1 thing and has absolutely no difference whatsoever, power to you. Enjoy Hunters. One of the worst games on the platform that, because of my curse, is probably going to get like 100, 200,000 players tomorrow because, I don't know, fuck me, I guess. This thing's a piece of shit. I'm done. See you later.